Hey guys, Top Tiger here, and welcome to my theory on Bendy and the Dark Revival. So before I get started, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, what every YouTuber asks you to do. And now, let's get into this video. So, if any of you guys watching follow another YouTuber known as Superhorrorbro, or Mike for short, you'll know that he made a theory on how Audrey, the protagonist of Bendy and the Dark Revival, is helping Bendy, the villain of prequel Bendy and the Ink Machine, as Mike Mood has basically tweeted on his account that Bendy and the Dark Revival is not a prequel or a sequel, meaning that, in my opinion, it's a parallel, but Mike believes it's like in many different time loops. And still, whatever happens, this is one thing he said in his theory. He believes that Joey Drew and Bendy are at war. Right? The reason they are at war is because Joey Drew, the owner of Joey Drew Studios, basically betrayed all of his workers and turned them into inky creations. Right? So he turned his workers into inky creations, which became the inhabitants of Joey Drew Studios, which Henry, protagonist of Bendy and the Ink Machine, fights, including Searchers, Lost Ones, and the Sammy Lawrence. And basically, all the inky creations are using Bendy as a way to gather support against their betrayer, Joey Drew, because they believe he will set them free. And, of course, if you look at the war, technically, Bendy's gonna win, because Bendy's got an army, Joey's got a Nathan. Because, yeah, if you've seen his other theory, you can see that there's a new character known as Nathan Arch, who appears to support Joey Drew. So it's Joey and Nathan versus ink. Like a massive lot of ink. And, of course, this is a part theory based on that, and also a different theory, which is basically how Joey and Nathan could win the war against Bendy. So, as you know, the Searchers, the Lost Ones, and Sammy Lawrence all support Bendy, and they number in the thousands. But not all inky creations are Bendy supporters. Creations like Allison Angel, Tom Boris, Buddy Boris, the Projectionist, and the Butcher Gang, which itself numbers in the thousands, doesn't support Bendy. This can be proven because if in Bendy and the Ink Machine Chapter 3, Bendy gets close to a member of the Butcher Gang, said member will drop dead, but if Bendy gets close to a Searcher, said Searcher will continue living unless put down by the player. Meaning, of course, that Bendy doesn't kill its own troops, but does kill the Butcher Gang, which is an adversary. And Mike, of course, believed that Audrey was helping Bendy because she was also betrayed by Joey. Although the trailer talks about basically how Allison Angel says that you, the player, can walk with angels or cower before demons, but one thing always remains: the choices you make. So this is actually a decision where you choose to work with Bendy or to work with Allison. And I'm going to assume that Allison and Tom and Boris, although some have theorized that Boris will not be in the new game, as action figures have come out with no Buddy Boris. Basically, you've got like Audrey, Susie, Audrey, Alice, Tom, and Sammy and Bendy, of course. Which actually, this is my theory on this. Bendy has a new look, a more human look. He's a lot more muscular and has proper teeth. And there's a voice in some recordings which people have theorized belongs to Bendy. If this is in fact true, my theory is that Bendy and the Dark Revival, unlike the one from Bendy and the Ink Machine, does have a soul. Right? He's not soulless, he does have a soul. Which is why he can do all those things. Well, all those things. Which is why he's more human. Basically. As well, because the action figure doesn't appear to have a limp, which Bendy in the original game did have. Although it does look like he has a giant hand. Although I'm not entirely sure about that. So it's possible that Bendy does have a soul. Also, basically, it appears that since Susie and Boris, Allison and Tom, not Susie and Boris, who are Susie and Boris, Allison and Tom basically work against Bendy, and so could work with Joey and Nathan, and Audrey might have to choose, Joey or Bendy. Although, if this theory is incorrect and the game is linear with a story, what's possible is that Audrey and Bendy are enemies in the beginning of the game, but then a threat bigger than both of them shows up. For example, in the teaser trailer and in the action figures, well, I say action figures, they're key rings, they're literal key rings. There's this new enemy type, which is a big black Goliath, like inky Goliath with a massive mouth and big eyes. But unlike the Searchers and the Lost Ones, the eyes for some reason do not glow, which leads me to think that said character is not a Bendy supporter. It's possible that that basically this character could be a threat to Bendy, so Bendy could team up with Audrey to take this down. Now that the theory is up, I would like to give my input on a new Bendy and the Ink Machine franchise game that should come out, and tell me if you guys agree. So, you guys have probably heard of the game Little Nightmares 2, right? Well, I was watching a playthrough of that game, and I thought it was really interesting. And then, sometime later, I saw a YouTuber by the name of Ertyez. You should really check him out as well. Just like him and Mike, check them both out. They're really good. He was playing Little Nightmares 2, but with like a mod that turned characters into Bendy and the Ink Machine characters. So like Mono became Boris, 6 became Allison, and what's his name? The Hunter became Alice Angel, which was actually kind of funny because she didn't have a neck. She was just like. And I remember Ertyez making the comment, instead of Boris, Mono should become Tom, although it doesn't seem that much of a problem as Tom and Boris look very similar. And that actually gave me this idea, which was that as you guys know, there's a Boris in the Dark survival game, which is a prequel, and just kind of tells the story of Boris before he met Henry. And there's also, and I believe there should be this other game as well, which should be called something like, I don't know, Allison and the Unlikely Alliance, which tells the story of Allison and Tom before they met Henry. And this can either be a single player, so passive co-op, where you can either play always as Allison, and so that's why called Allison and the Unlikely Alliance, or always as Tom, although that, if so, then it should be called Tom and the Unlikely Alliance. Or if you play as both, then it should be called either, I don't know, like some ship name like Tomlison or something like that, and the Unlikely Alliance. I mean, Tomlison, is that a name? I don't know, sounds a bit strange. And another idea could be that it's a active co-op, so you and a friend, partner, or whatever play this game together. And obviously there's a co-op between Tom and Allison, and maybe even some extra help by Buddy Boris. And there can be new enemies introduced, obviously. Although, if the game is a passive co-op, then this is a must. But if it's an active co-op, then this is non-compulsory. The hold hands function. If you guys have played Little Nightmares 2, you'll know that if Mono and Six could not hold hands, the game would be like 10% worse than it actually is. Like holding hands is just the cutest thing you can do in the game. Right, so we have come to the end to this theory video. Thanks for watching, and tell me what you guys think in the comment section. Bye.